What is up with our next Disney World vacation? Stick around and find out next on The Magic and the Music. Welcome back to The Magic and the Music. I'm Jen.
I'm Randall.
And today we are talking to you about what in the world is going on with our next Disney World vacation. I know a lot of viewers are in the same situation. It's this mess and we don't really know what's happening. So we wanted to fill you in with where we were and what we know. And hopefully this will help you out or just give you an insight. And it's sort of like watching a train wreck, I guess. And you're like, it's kind of weirdly fascinating.
It's been a bit of a year.
It has. I think we all feel that way.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it. And we're going to kind of fill you in on things and where we're headed. And a lot of this could change very, very quickly. So let's get started. Yep. Okay. So first we wanted to talk about what were our original plans for 2020. What were the travel plans? So we actually took a trip in late January with other family, and that was great.
That was good.
Everything went really well.
Pre-COVID.
If only we had known.
Yeah, we would have spent longer.
I would have bought more. We didn't. I didn't have any more days off.
Yeah.
I would have definitely bought more stuff for sure. So we had our trip in January, and that went really well. And then we had actually purchased a DVC resale contract and add-on, and like in the winter time, and that kind of came through like in late February, early March kind of time frame.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we got this new contract, and it had its full 2019 points, which with our October use year, those are still the valid points right now.
Right.
And so it had all those points on it, and we wanted to be able to use those. And so I looked at the calendar. Our whole family had gold annual passes, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take my daughter, and I'll go on my school spring break. We're going to run out there real quick. We'll use our annual passes. We've already got tickets. And let's go. Well, that was right when the theme park started closing.
Yeah.
So I think they closed, like, I want to say March 17th or so. And our trip was supposed to be right at the end of the month. So that one got canceled.
I think the only good thing about that was that she hadn't been spending the entire year planning it out.
That's true.
It
was only like a month of planning.
Yeah, so it was kind of like, oh, this is a last minute thing. So we were upset, but not like, oh my gosh, we've been planning on this for 11 months.
Yeah, it's like, okay, whatever, fine.
Sort of
that was just kind of an extra bonus. We'll go in July.
Yeah.
Now, our trip coming up in July, we have been planning for a year or more. So that's a really, really big one. And we're really excited about that. And of course, the other big thing is that we were planning on going with some other friends. And those friends, we were kind of working our dates around theirs so that they would arrive and have their trip, and then we would have overlap of several days with our trip, and then ours kind of extended later.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, well, we'll kind of talk about the timing of this. So that July trip, we had booked our dining, we had booked our fast passes, everything was still ready to go. So the other thing is that we have to fly from the West Coast to get to Disney World. So it's not like a quick weekend trip.
No.
Even if you take a direct flight, you're talking 5.5, 6+ hours. If you have connecting flights, you can be spending 7 to 8+ hours in the air.
9.
Yeah, I mean, it could be very, plus then, of course, all the time waiting. So it's not really like a thing where we can fly and then be in a theme park that night. That doesn't really work for where we live.
Yeah, even if we do a red eye, which can be pretty
grueling.
brutal.
Yeah.
It's still like you get there and you can't do much of anything.
Yeah. So anyway, it's not a quick weekend trip. We need to have travel time. And that's why when we go for a long time because we need to make it worth our while to have made that trip. And again, that's not an inexpensive plane ticket typically either. So, okay. So here we are. We were all ready to go and eagerly awaiting the announcement of when Disney intended to reopen. So we watched, I think it was the Orange County Economic Recovery Task Force or Council or whatever it was called.
Yeah, she was stalking them. She was making sure.
You're like in the shower and I'm in the bathroom like with the meeting streaming on the iPad.
And she's like, oh, Universal has announced their opening days. We're going to Disney will have to respond.
Yeah.
They will have to. So
high drama. Theme park drama.
Theme park drama.
So we were watching it and very eagerly awaiting, and then the announcement came out, and it was July 11th for Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, I believe, and then July 15th or 16th, I can't recall, for the other two. Well, our original trip was slated to begin on the 8th and to go until the 17th. And so that wasn't really going to work for us. Yes, there was a chance of having annual pass holder previews and all these things, but we didn't want to risk it. And the big thing was we didn't know if the resorts would be open.
And at the same time, our friends who were cash guests, they had a cash booking at a hotel, they decided to postpone their
they
trip.
Just had to cancel because theirs began back on July 2nd.
Yeah, so
that wasn't going to happen.
Since they moved theirs, we said, we can move ours.
We can go whenever in the summer.
Kind of move it around to fit when we think this is.
However, at this point in time, our gold passes were going to expire on July 29th. We knew they were likely going to be pushed out, but we hadn't seen it done yet. So we were trying to fit the trip into that little window. So I very quickly ran down, logged into our DVC, website, and we had a split stay. So we actually kept some of our same resort intact, canceled the beginning, like the front end of it, and then added some new stuff at the end. And so we were lucky in what we were able to book. So our current resort plan is to spend 3 nights at Beach Club in a studio, 3 nights at Animal Kingdom Jumbo House in a value 1-bedroom, 2 nights at Copper Creek in a studio, mainly because that's just hard to get a lot. Never stayed there. And then 3 nights for you at Polynesian in a studio because
that's one I love.
Yeah, he's got to have Polynesian or he's just not as happy.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So that's the current plan. And we were really pretty happy with that. Yeah, a 4-way split stay over 11 nights. But we're like pretty good with that because especially we thought, well, what if we can't get in the theme parks as much? So that could work. Yeah.
And for the channel, we wanted to capture a bunch of different resorts.
Yeah, room tours and everything for you guys.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for us to go to a few different resorts. And, we can even go over, what's it like to do 4 split stays?
I think 3 is the most we've done, so it's going to be 4 now for us.
Yeah, I guess it's
4.
Well,
hopefully. We'll see. So then, so here we are. There was this other whole thing going on that some people had named Jumbo Gate.
Yeah.
Jumbo Gate. So Jumbo Gate was this weird phenomenon among DVC members where we noticed that people were first there was no availability in anything at Jumbo House for DVC all through like the whole rest of the year.
And so what was happening at this time, we knew that Disney was negotiating with the NBA.
And Major League Soccer.
And Major League Soccer. And so some people thought that that basically they were closing down Jumbo to give to the soccer players or the NBA stars. Mm-hmm. And people started switching their reservation.
A lot of people started panicking.
And I said, Jen, don't change your reservation. Why would you want to do that? Make Disney pay for it.
Well, so as it turns out, what we think we know right now is we think Jumbo House is supposed to be open, but maybe not in the initial period. Mm-hmm. They kind of indicated it wasn't going to be opening in the initial period. Like with the DVC resorts are opening June 22nd, but before the parks open. So if you want a resort only stay for DVC, you can do that. And so we think Jumbo House is not open in that period, and some people have been asked to be moved. Some people voluntarily moved. We did not move. So we are waiting. If they want to move us, they'll just have to entice us with something good to move us. So back to our trip. We have a lot of concerns, a lot of things we have to think about for this trip. We have, obviously, the biggest one is health concerns. Yeah. We have concerns about logistics and how things are going to be different, how the experience is obviously going to be different. The potential to get stuck in Florida if we get sick.
Yeah. There is that potential.
Yeah, so that's something that we have to take seriously. Are we in a position like with our jobs and everything else where if we go and somebody in our family becomes ill and we can't fly back right away, can we make it work?
What do we do?
Yeah, so these are all, we've had to like kind of talk through all these scenarios and make sure we're comfortable. some of the risks. We've had to talk about some of the risks because it is a risk.
Yeah, there have been a lot of reports coming out of Florida about increasing cases of COVID-19, and we've seen some reports from different resorts or different theme parks that have been a little, maybe not alarming, but
Oh, come on, let's be direct about it. Like, we've seen a lot of really positive feedback about Universal, and for the most part, people following the rules their team members enforcing the rules. Yeah. And what we've seen from different vloggers, and we watched quite a few, is that SeaWorld and Busch Gardens are maybe not enforcing those guidelines.
They're maybe saying, you need to wear a mask, but we're not going to make you in the park.
Or it could be that we were saying maybe it's just that there aren't as many employees there.
Yeah, that is the other part of it. It's you just know that those theme parks don't have tons of people around, so there's a lot of areas where there just aren't cast members,
right, or whatever they call them.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a definite ability for people to skirt the rules.
Yeah, and that is a big concern. So in my mind, I thought, well, are we comfortable like with what these Disney requirements are? Yeah, definitely. But if the other people aren't following them, then that's not great. Yeah. Other concerns, we talked about what safety precautions we can take.
Yeah.
We definitely are trying to limit our exposure to other people right now as much as possible, because we are not going to get on a plane and go and potentially expose other people if we want to reduce the chance that we're exposing anybody else.
If any of us even remotely look like we're coming down with something, we're not going to get on the plane.
We're not going. So we're just like, fingers crossed, stay healthy, because we want to be able to go.
Yeah.
Another thing is we do have travel insurance, and DVC offers a policy with TravelX insurance, and we actually purchased that prior to COVID-19, which was really lucky because that we're using those points for this trip. So that's going to provide us with some additional supports if we ran into any problems in Florida. We have had an experience visiting an ER on a Disney trip.
Yeah.
Someday we'll make a video about that. Not great, not recommended. But that's why we learned to get travel insurance.
Yeah.
And then also with the flight, our airline is not going to be using any center seats. And so those have all been blocked out on the seat chart. And so that helps. We'll be adding more robust filtering into our face masks when we're on the plane, and taking more strict precautions. Also, we booked direct flights so that minimizes the actual amount of time that we are on a plane.
And number of people we are exposed to.
Right. So, again, nothing's foolproof, but we're at least trying to bring that risk level down a little bit. Another thing we've been discussing is the possibility of renting a car when we get there, because then we wouldn't spend so much time like on buses
with other people
in a small space.
I'm still torn on this one, because it may be that we trade spending time on a bus to be on a monorail with a bunch of people too.
Yeah, and that strategy doesn't work super great for Magic Kingdom either.
Yeah.
And some of the places we're staying, it's like a non-issue. Like when we're at Beach Club, we can just walk into Epcot. So then it doesn't really matter. Or
if we're on the Skyliner, that's golden for going to Epcot as well as to Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question you might be wondering is, why don't you just wait? Why don't you just reschedule in a few more months? Well, I'm a teacher, and I have to plan vacations on a teacher's schedule. And we have actually very, very limited leave time that is not coinciding with the rest of the world that wants to go to Disney World. Let's put it that way. The time that we have off is the time when everybody has off. And so it's super, super busy times. Touring plans would call them like level 10. And so if we want to go, and we don't like to go at those super busy times, we want to go when it's a little bit more calm. And so if we want to go, we have very limited options. We really need to make it happen this summer. And the summer, it's coming, it's ticking, time's ticking quickly. And the other thing is that if we want to go and then quarantine ourselves after returning, we have to do that in the summer with enough room before I have to return to work. Because the last thing I want to do is go fly to Florida, be in a theme park, fly home, and then expose my students to anything that I might have been exposed to. And I think that would not be a responsible choice, and I would not do that.
Yeah.
So if we're going to go, it's got to be soon.
It's got to be now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On top of that, our annual passes, now their new expiration date is in November. So it's summer or never right now for us.
Yeah.
We got to get it in.
Basically can't wait, right?
Right.
And
we lose
points,
a lot of money if we don't use them.
The points for our resorts, if we don't use them before October, they disappear.
If you're a DVC member, we have 245 points tied up in this reservation. It was actually our shorter spring break trip now piled up in together with our July trip. And so 245 points, that is not a small amount of points. And they need to get used. We're past our banking window. It's possible that Disney might give an exception to the banking, but we also don't want to have suddenly like 600 points next year that now we can't plan with. Yeah. So that doesn't do us any good. So we've got to burn through these points, folks. Let's do it.
Yeah. So in a reasonable manner. It's kind of like we don't want to like go hog wild and book the most expensive room for like 2 nights or something.
But so some people might say, well, why don't you just wait? Well, if you'd had a cash reservation, you could have called Disney and just gotten your money back. But in our case, we can only get a credit with our airline, not a refund, because we've already had to reschedule flights a couple times. Yeah. We have our DVC points that have to be used. We can't just keep creating this huge backlog of points. And we have these annual passes that also need to get used. So we kind of have these pressing things that if we don't use, the next trip is going to be, it's kind of waste. It's gone.
If we didn't have these, would we still go? That's a tough question.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
If we didn't have to spend the money, if the money hadn't already been spent, like our annual passes, I paid for those 18 months ago. And that might be a really different perspective than a cash guest.
Right.
Because a cash guest is saying, do I want to spend the money right now to go have this experience right now? And you might just be like, no, I'm out. Right.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like, well, we're already all in.
Yeah.
It's not Disney's fault. It's not DVC's fault that any of this is happening.
Just this thing.
Yeah, it just is what it is. So the big question is, are we going? Well, today, as of today, we are going.
Yes.
That's
as
the
of
current
today.
plan.
That could change tomorrow.
Yes.
That could change before this video comes out.
Yeah, it could. Anything could happen. And the other thing, of course, is park reservations. We just got the announcement on Friday, the 19th, that we are in the first group that is eligible to book for these theme park reservations, this brand new thing where they're going to limit capacity. We have no idea what to expect, except that we think it's probably the system's going to crash, because that's been our experience booking things like Moonlight Magic in the past. So I'm a little bit not too optimistic about that. I think we'll probably get park reservations, but I think it's going to be challenging.
Yeah.
Challenging day.
Their website may have some issues.
But you never know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm wrong.
Well, I do.
Because now they're booking what is it, like 14 months?
14 months out.
All at the same time. Which I think is crazy. I don't know why they're doing that.
Well, I mean, I kind of also understand, because they're basically saying that if you have a room reservation and a ticket, which you have to have those two things, then you can book.
Right.
Or if you have an annual pass.
But so our next family vacation would be in August of 2021. And like we can't book we can't book our DVC room yet.
Yeah.
Therefore, we can't make park reservations because we won't have a valid annual pass then, and we can't renew it yet. It's too early to renew it. So maybe we could buy vouchers for new ones. who knows?
I don't know.
It's such a mess. But
I think
it's a mess, and we're all in it together.
I mean, I think it's okay for everyone. I really do wish they would have just capped it at like 6 months.
Or
that would have made more sense.
Yeah.
Because then it's like most everyone who could book something or who has already booked something for a stay already has it in their plans.
Well, who knows? Maybe a lot of people just aren't going. So will we get in? I think we'll get some park days.
I think we will.
I mean, technically, because we have our annual passes and we have 11 days of reservation, we could theoretically reserve a park for 12 days, right?
12 days.
So I don't know if we'll get all those, but I kind of have our list of priorities. I'm planning on making a video about my experience booking that. It could be a lot of me looking angrily at a computer and grunting and going, "Oh, what is this? What's happening?"
4 hours later.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But, okay, so next big question. If we don't have access to Disney or we have limited access, we can't get in the days we want, will we go to other places?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not opposed to going elsewhere.
Yeah.
Mainly Universal.
Yeah.
Because we think they're having the best safety protocols right now.
Right. I think I would feel good with going to Universal, but anywhere else, I'm not so good with that.
Yeah. If we have limited access to Disney, we would definitely consider going to Universal.
Yeah.
And we'd have to pay a bunch more money to like get passes, but if that's what we can do to salvage our vacation, I guess we will.
Yeah. I mean, when you got lemons, make lemonade.
Yeah. And we like Universal. We've had good experiences there. It's just that our kids are really young, and so they're not tall enough to go on all the big rides and stuff. So we were kind of waiting until they were a little older, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Are we cool with the Disney requirements?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I think
100%. Yeah.
I think, I wish they could even do a little bit more.
I mean, I don't know what more they could do.
I mean, if they were able to do actual tests.
Oh, yeah, like test you at the door.
Went inside the park. I would love that.
Amazing.
Because then it'd be like, oh, I could hug people.
Well,
not like random people, but it's like, it's just kind of. It would be nice to be in a spot where you could say, oh yeah, for the most part, everyone's good.
That would be nice. But I am 100% fine with the requirements. My main concern is I want them to enforce them. Disney, please enforce these rules.
Yes.
If we are all kind of signing that contract, right, those terms to come into the theme park, please make sure that everybody is following these rules. Please ask people to put their face masks on.
All right.
And I know there are some of you out there who are like, oh, I'm just going to have a drink in my hand the whole time so I don't have to wear it.
Not okay.
That's not okay. And I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. That is really selfish because that is potentially harming other people because it's inconvenient for you. And I'm not cool with that. I'm really not.
Yeah.
And so you knew the rules going in. So go only if you are 100% fine with what is being asked of you to be in there.
Yeah.
Because we are willing to do that. And we've been training our kids. Our kids have been practicing wearing face masks. They don't go out a lot, but we have them, like if I bring them to my classroom, nobody else is in there. I'll bring them to my classroom and they wear it like the whole time.
Yeah.
And no, it's not easy for kids. And sometimes if it's hot, it's not easy for adults. I've been sewing different face mask patterns. I do have a tutorial, so I'll put a link up here if you want to see that tutorial. And we have some pretty comfortable styles. He wears them at work every day.
Yeah, I would say if you have a problem with face masks, you need to use her tutorial to get some better face mask styles. Because I had a different face mask style for the first few days of COVID-19, and they were a lot less comfortable. And I will tell you that having a comfortable mask really makes it a lot easier to deal with. And particularly the ones that are her pattern, where they come up with the nose and they don't apply pressure to your nose. That is a lot better to wear on a longer period of time. When I'm at work, I have to wear it for sometimes like 6 hours straight. So I think that being able to wear a comfortable mask is really important. And having a comfortable mask, I think, is also kind of the path to wearing the mask all the time.
Yeah, and then another thing is that like some people will like especially if you're sewing them. Sometimes people have been sewing really, really thick ones, and I understand where they're coming from. They are like, I want the safest possible face mask. Yeah. But you know what? A face mask that someone doesn't wear does nothing.
Or they pull it down.
Right, if they pull it down to breathe. So the idea was with the tutorial I made, it had 2 layers of cotton, and that's maybe a little bit on the lighter side. But you could insert more layers if you wanted them. But if you're having that panic attack, icky moment, well, take the layers out, lighten up the mask so that you can cope. And the idea is to find your threshold, like find the point where you are comfortable wearing the face mask and you're going to do it. And then, bring yourself right up to that point where it's like, okay, going beyond this, I just can't tolerate it. Okay, then don't go beyond that. But don't throw out the whole idea just because you don't have the right face mask.
Right. And we're going to provide a link to a video below that shows all the reasons why everyone should be wearing face masks all the time, period. Right?
We would really like to see everybody doing that too,
Yeah, it's at least in my opinion, I think it's the only way for everyone to get back to normalcy.
Yeah. Final question. Would anything make you cancel? Well, if Disney closes or delays their opening, obviously we're not going. We have no place to stay.
That'd be the main one.
Yeah, that's the big one. Well, if anyone in our immediate family, our children or us, had any symptoms, obviously we're not going to go.
We wouldn't go.
Yeah, that's not happening. So we're going to take great care in the weeks leading up to the trip to minimize our risk, minimize our exposure to other people. We don't go out except for things that are very important. We wear face masks 100% of the time when we are around others outside of our household. So we take a lot of precautions. We wipe down everything that comes into our home. We sanitize.
Even like if somebody comes to the door, I'll even if we're 6 feet away, I still put the mask on.
Yeah.
So
we're very careful about that.
Combination of the physical distancing and the mask.
And we recognize we can still get sick.
Yeah.
It could still happen. So nothing is going to be perfect, but if it's about lowering the likelihood. I think a really good analogy I heard was somebody was saying, if you were like playing a video game and there was something that gave you like 30% better health, would you walk past it and just leave it there?
No,
of course not. You pick it up and use it, right? You take it and put it in your stash or whatever you have.
Of course.
In the game. So it's like you would never walk away from that. So why would you do that? Same thing in real life. So another thing that that I wanted to address is, we take this very seriously. You might be saying, "Oh, you think you're invincible? You think this can't happen to you?" No, we are not invincible. No. Somebody who is very, very close to us was just diagnosed with COVID-19. And they don't live in our area. They live in another state from where we live. But this is very real for us. Yeah. Okay. And we take this very, very seriously. And we recognize that life is now about balancing risk and balancing these choices. Yeah. And we have to try to balance all those things out the best we can. We want to be safe and we want to keep our families safe. But we also want to take all the precautions and use all of the tools in our arsenal to try to keep this virus under control. And so we feel like there's got to be some kind of balance point that we're going to find. And I wish we could find that, all together.
Yeah. And I will also say, we are going to be taking with us a lot of extra things so that we can take more precautions while we're at Disney. So we will be taking sanitizing wipes with us everywhere, wiping down all of our food while we're there. We plan to be eating outdoors for the most part.
Just wiping down our food?
Well, yeah. I mean, the boxes. The food
boxes. Okay.
Come on.
Like, Lysol.
Delicious. 409, it tastes great.
You know what? I did not like the smell of 409 at the beginning of this, and now I'm like, oh, I feel safer when I smell it.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. And the biggest thing is, when we return from our trip, we are going to be quarantining in our home. So we are not going to go out and see other people because we recognize that we've made the choice for our family that is a little bit higher risk activity And we recognize that other people are not making that choice for themselves. Therefore, we don't want to force that on anybody else. And so we are going to be very, very careful. And you've made arrangements to be working from home for a period of time. And because I'm a teacher and it's the summer, I can remain home. And so that's another really key element here, is that we've made that decision. And we've also conferred with my children's pediatrician. And so this is not a decision that we take really lightly. This is something that's very much researched and is very much dependent upon the data that we have when it comes time to set foot on that plane.
Yeah,
and ultimately that's when that decision will be made. Yeah,
and this is a calculated risk. You know, we recognize that. But at the same time, no one in our family has any risk factors. You know, so, and we are going to manage this as best as we can.
Yeah, so that's really the best we can do. And I'll be honest with you, the measures that Disney is taking sound a lot safer than what we're seeing in our community. If we try to go out to the store to buy something, which we try to limit as much as possible, but I saw stuff that was a lot of careless behavior, a lot of really inconsiderate and careless behavior. And if Disney does what they say they're going to do, and we already know that our airlines are requiring face masks and things like that, if we can keep ourselves relatively isolated in those bubbles as much as possible, we think that, quite frankly, there is not a greater risk to us versus going out into our community to Target or Walmart or whatever. You know, we feel like that risk is actually not greater because there is a much more extreme focus on the safety and cleanliness. That kind of sums it up. So that's where we are. That's what's going on. If you're wondering. Oh, and one other thing is that we really, really want to get into the theme park so that we can get you guys some great content.
Yes.
We really want some new video and new photos and things that we can incorporate into our channel content. And we got to get down there or we're not going to be able to get that. So that's another really important reason that we're hoping to be able to go.
Yeah. And we think that, you know, this is being able to bring back some of that happiness, I think is a public service.
That's
in some
important.
ways, yeah.
Because we know a lot of you can't go right now, and we want to bring you there with us. We want to be ambassadors of that, because that's such a fun part of so many people's lives. And we love seeing vloggers do it, and we want to give back to you as well.
Yeah, and we do really love going to Disney. It's a lot of fun.
It is. So we'll see what happens. Are we going? Currently, we hope so. I mean, yes, we plan to, and we'll keep you updated. We'll let you know what ends up happening, and there it is. So if you found this video to be fun or helpful or entertaining in any way whatsoever, please hit the subscribe button below and hit the bell icon so you know when we have new content coming your way. And that's it from us today in the Magic in the Music. Remember, there's magic in the music. Bye.
Bye.